This is CBC Late Night News.
Good evening, I'm Marivelle Tarouk. No lunch prep tonight. Maybe bedtimes are a little later. That's because teachers begin rotating school strikes tomorrow. Toronto District School Board teachers are hitting the picket line, and so are early childhood educators from the Catholic Board. As City Hall reporter Lauren Pelly explains, it is all thanks to the ongoing battle between teachers and the province, and it means community members are now banding together.
What would you do for the teachers? Because they're going to be outside the school.
This Bloor West Village mother of three is among thousands of Ontario parents bracing for another strike. Tomorrow, Angela Grant Buchner is staying home with her kids and visiting the picket line.
We are going to probably be making soup and delivering it to our teachers at our school because we really do support them.
She says their fight is about far more than salary.
First week of school with my daughter, she said, "Oh, I'm in one class and they don't have enough chairs because 10 extra kids showed up." And that's not how it's supposed to be.
That's my house.
That's your house. It's a beautiful house you have.
Further north in Rockcliffe Smythe, this local family is also rejigging schedules to prep for a day with no school.
I feel like parents, families, education workers are pulling together to support each other.
Mother of two, Leanna Salvador Watts, is helping run a low-cost pop-up camp, offering support to parents who can't miss a day of work.
We're a model school, which means a lot of people in the community might be low income, and so it's important to us to be able to just take that pressure, that load off of the families to offer the support.
With no agreement on the horizon, that pressure could continue. The Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario says rotating province-wide strikes start Monday. The union accuses Education Minister Stephen Lecce of refusing to get back to the table. Meanwhile, the Premier says,
"So we're confident we'll get a deal and things will be back to normal, hopefully sooner than later."
They'll be doing some arts and crafts, scavenger hunt, a tour.
To help local families, city officials are offering several upcoming camp days at local museums like this.
It clearly is a situation of all hands on deck, and it has been like that for the last few days.
When was my kid born? 2008.
Grant Buchner says that community support is crucial until a deal is done. Beyond just visiting the picket line, she's even donating her strike compensation, that cash the province is offering parents, back to her children's school.
For us, it's more, we know how it affects everyone else and the teachers, and we know that, it's just not good.
Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
And for anyone interested, City of Toronto officials say there are some spots still available in those camps Lauren mentioned. This one in Willowdale is for kids 7 to 11. It involves cooking, crafts, and games. Another camp in Etobicoke offers stories, scavenger hunts, and a make-your-own pizza lunch. It's for kids 6 to 12. And in Scarborough, the local museum is offering a full day of games and baking treats. Kids 6 to 11 are welcome. Each of the camps is between $40 and $60. It's $4 extra for an hour of extended care. And you can find a whole lot more of these details at efun.toronto.ca. And for updated information about the strikes, we've got you covered there. You can find day-by-day details on when strikes are happening and which school boards are affected across the province. That's on our website at cbc.ca/Toronto. A memorial was held today in Thornhill, remembering the 176 passengers of Flight 752. It was a way for the community to come together to grieve and to ensure that families of the victims get closure.
Basically, everybody, not only in Canada but across the world, are looking for justice, making sure that those who made such a tragedy happen are accountable.
Many gathered at Cyrus Community Centre to remember the victims, including 57 Canadians, and to share in the pain with their families. It's been almost 2 weeks since the Ukrainian airliner was shot down in Iran. And the Iranian government is backtracking on its statement yesterday on the downed Boeing airliner's flight recorders. The statement said they were being sent to Ukraine, but today Tehran says they're being examined in Iran. Canada wants them sent to Ukraine or France. Iran says that could happen if its attempts to read them don't succeed. The remains of the victims from Ukraine were returned home today. 11 Ukrainians were among those killed. The cleanup after that massive storm in Newfoundland continued today, just as residents get ready to welcome some much-needed help. This video was tweeted out by the Canadian Armed Forces Joint Task Force Atlantic. It shows troops arriving in St. John's. The Minister of National Defence says up to 300 CAF members will be in the region by tomorrow. Meanwhile, Newfoundlanders are bracing for more nasty weather. Environment Canada has issued warnings and statements for much of the island. Some parts could see another 15 centimeters of snow, and conditions in St. John's could get even messier with rain and strong winds in the forecast overnight. Chris O'Neill-Yates has more from St. John's.
Day 2 of the big dig out, and there's just nowhere left to put the snow. Today, lineups at gas stations all over St. John's.
I ran out of gas for my snowblower, and so I'm picking up gas for the neighborhood.
Inside, there's a mini mart. People lined up hoping to get food.
I'm just trying to get some essentials, some milk and some bread and stuff like that, because I don't know how long it's going to be, this is going to last.
The way I figure is they're not going to ship anything on the island for a while. So we're going to run low. Everybody's going to run low. And come next week, we're going to have a problem, I'd say.
At another outlet, tempers flared when the owner closed the doors.
We've been here in the lineup for like 4 hours. People have kids who, are running out of things for their kids. Might need milk or something for breakfast. But I just seen about 30 people coming out with beer.
People are running low on lots of items. This woman is grateful a pharmacist sold her essentials for her granddaughter. Pharmacies were only allowed to sell medication.
Well, she said she may get in trouble, but, I can't see why they should get in trouble. I have a little baby that's in need, and only for her right now. She wouldn't have her milk or her diapers.
City snow clearing crews have been working around the clock, but they're just getting to some of these city streets.
Neighbors are coming together to begin a long cleanup process, with many finding alternate ways to get around. And kids are making the most of it. Sarah Sexton was picking up essentials and decided to check her lottery ticket too.
And I thought if I won $5 million, I'd take my mother and I'd go somewhere warm for a little bit, as soon as I could get out of here, if I could. Yes, $5 million, that's good, right?
But it's going to take more than luck to clean up all this. Chris O'Neill-Yates, CBC News, St. John's.
An hour outside St. John's, the frantic search for a missing man continues. Josh Wall went out into the blizzard on Friday and hasn't been seen since. Kayla Hounsell has that story.
All right, 10-4.
Their task is incredibly challenging, but they are determined to cover every inch of the rural, rugged terrain. They're using snowshoes, snowmobiles, and helicopters.
My son is out there somewhere. He's most likely cold. Hopefully he's hung up into a shelter.
26-year-old Josh Wall left home in the middle of Friday's blizzard. His father says he lives with anxiety and wasn't taking his medication when he insisted on walking to a friend's house. His last contact was via text message. What was the last thing that he sent?
The last thing that he had sent was his location, which is indicated here by the ping, and it says phone is on 1 and I lost here.
Lost in the woods with towering snowdrifts. The RCMP and Josh's family tried to search for him during the height of the storm, but it was just too fierce.
This is probably the hardest weather conditions we've faced in doing this type of search.
So we almost got lost ourselves, only being about a couple of hundred feet away from the home. So we had to come back, and knowing he was out there at that particular time was hard.
Today he discovered all of his son's winter coats at home. One witness believes she saw Josh on the main road. The RCMP say this remains very much a search and rescue operation. They're asking the public to look in sheds and campers. Crews targeted this scrapyard, desperately hoping Wall could be inside. alive.
Negative.
And now, as darkness falls, the ground search has wrapped up for another day. Volunteers are hoping to be back tomorrow, but with more bad weather on the way, it's unclear when they might be able to start searching again. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, Roach's Line, Newfoundland.
Toronto remains under an extreme cold weather alert tonight as temperatures continue to drop after this weekend's snowfall. Temperatures are expected to fall to around -15 tonight with an expected wind chill of -23 overnight. Those who are outside are advised to dress warmly and to cover exposed skin to protect from the cold. This cold spell comes after as much as 17 centimeters of snow blanketed the city yesterday, setting a new daily record snowfall. So let's get a bit more of the chilly temperatures and how it's looking for us tonight. Sonia is here with a look at that. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, thank you. Yes, for sure. What a difference 24 hours makes, right? So Ottawa did break records. Daily snowfall total at the International Airport, 14.3 centimeters fell on Saturday. The total, 20 centimeters as of this morning. Toronto Pearson on Saturday, 17.2, again, broke that daily snowfall record. And total was 18, as you had mentioned. But let's get into what's happening right now. Pretty clear for the most part. Sarnia, though, might see some snow squalls going into Monday morning. So if you're traveling on the 402, please be careful with that. Talking about those temperatures, yes, very frigid. So it's going to be very clear, mind you, but very cool. So I'll get into that in just a little bit. So let's talk about the dip in temperature. So we have the northerly winds flowing. That is creating that very frigid temperature, -15 into the overnight. But good news is it slowly starts to build as we start to notice the winds shift from the west. So we start to build by Tuesday morning, wind gusts. So it does calm down for the most part, but then you'll notice on Tuesday, as we get the southerly winds, they do tend to gust up again, but the temperatures begin to be a lot milder. So as you said, tonight into the overnight, -15, feeling like -23 because of the northerly winds. But then in the morning, -21 is what it's going to feel like. But take a look at this jump, feeling like -10 by the afternoon, sunny clouds. But after this, I'm going to let you know if we can continue to see this mild temperature or not.
Okay, so we'll check in with you in a bit. Thanks, Sonia.
Great, thank you.
Tomorrow is the so-called saddest day of the year. The third Monday of January was coined Blue Monday back in 2005. It started out as a marketing ploy by a UK travel company. But it does get us talking about mental health this time of year. Angelina King has more on that and beating the winter blues.
It's cold and dark, the holidays are long gone, and you might be feeling a little down, or you could be experiencing seasonal affective disorder, also known as SAD. It's a form of depression that happens most often in the winter when there's less light. According to the Canadian Mental Health Association, about 3% of people experience SAD, while another 15% have a milder form.
And for some people, it is significant enough to be depression, causing serious clinical impairment, functional impairment. Unable to get out of bed, feeling quite down, and not being able to enjoy things they normally would.
To combat it, experts say to exercise, eat healthy, and get enough sleep. Thomas suggests speaking with a mental health professional and simply embracing winter by getting outside and staying connected to others.
We're all in this together. How can we make this better for each other?
Thomas also suggests using one of these light therapy lamps. They're actually available at a lot of Toronto public libraries, free to use. So all you have to do is turn it on. You sit about 2 feet away, and you just need about 20 or 30 minutes for the lamp to affect the hormones in your brain that are linked to your mood and your sleep.
They mimic more of the sunlight that we are lacking more of in the wintertime.
To brighten Blue Monday, there are a number of initiatives around the city tomorrow. These high school students are ready to take a busload of hot meals, clothing, gift packs, and handwritten notes to those in need.
So we wanted to turn that around to the happiest day of the year by giving back to the community.
While there's no scientific evidence proving tomorrow is the saddest day of the year, Thomas says it does get people talking about mental health.
The fact is that Many people suffer in silence.
An important conversation any day of the year. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
I must say that I can only imagine what you may have heard or perhaps read over the past few weeks. So, I want you to hear the truth from me.
Harry speaks out. After yesterday's unprecedented announcement, he says he is sad to no longer be a working member of the royal family, but felt he had no choice. More from him next. Justin Trudeau's government began 3 days of meetings today, gearing up for what's expected to be a challenging winter session. And now they're juggling a snow emergency in Newfoundland and a delegate investigation in Iran. Today's meetings started with a discussion about access to the black boxes of the crashed Ukrainian airliner. David Cochran has more from Winnipeg.
Justin Trudeau built this cabinet to deal with the domestic tensions revealed during the election. But the downing of Flight 752 has put international tensions front and center.
Iran has a path to choose. Either they go to the path of transparency, accountability, and taking full responsibility. When you say to the world you take full responsibility, that comes with consequences.
Canada's foreign minister is just back from the Middle East, where he met with his Iranian counterpart, pushing for cooperation on the repatriation and burial of remains, insisting the black boxes be turned over to reliable allies.
The wish of Canada, the wish of the coordination group would be that the black box be sent quickly, either to Ukraine or to France.
Iran has dominated the government's focus since the crash. This retreat in Winnipeg is about focusing on the Liberal political agenda.
To be perfectly honest, my sense is we're planning the upcoming session, the parliamentary session.
That begins in a week, the first extended parliamentary session for a minority government that needs support from across the aisle to advance legislation and pass a budget.
We obviously had an election campaign where we talked about the importance of dealing with climate change, where we talked about the importance of affordability for Canadians and the anxiety that they're faced with as they raise their families. We will now move forward with some of those initiatives.
But moving forward isn't going to be easy in a minority parliament. Every year, Morneau consults with ordinary Canadians to ask them what they want to see in his budget. This year, he has to negotiate directly with the opposition and ask them the same question. David Cochran, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Police and protesters clashed again in Lebanon's capital tonight, a day after violence that left almost 400 people injured. Yesterday, protesters threw stones and fireworks at police, who responded with water cannon, tear gas, and rubber bullets. It all happened at the edge of a compound housing Lebanon's parliament. The protests began last fall against alleged corruption and mismanagement by Lebanon's political elite. Violence also broke out in Hong Kong today at the latest anti-government protests, with security forces firing tear gas and chasing crowds through the streets. Thousands had gathered for a rally approved by authorities, but when they began a march, which was not approved, police moved in. Later, some protesters blocked roads, ripped up brick pavement, and spray-painted buildings. 7,000 people have been arrested over 7 months of protests. Well, we heard from Buckingham Palace. Now it's Harry's turn. The Duke of Sussex spoke out today after yesterday's announcement of an agreement ushering him and his wife out of working royal duties.
It brings me great sadness that it has come to this. The decision that I have made for my wife and I to step back is not one I made lightly.
Harry was speaking at a dinner for a charity he founded. He appeared visibly upset. He said he had hoped for a break from the royal family less complete than what is in the final arrangement. But he says he agreed to it in hopes of achieving a more peaceful life.
You're Chinese, you're non-Chinese. We all welcome you to be here to have a good time.
Coming up, Toronto's Asian communities get set to celebrate the Lunar New Year next weekend. Stay with us. Thousands gathered at the Rogers Centre this weekend for the 3rd annual Winterfest. Hosted by the Toronto Blue Jays, the two-day event opened up the Rogers Centre to fans of all ages. Arcade games, rides, and an ice rink were all part of the excitement. Plus, baseball lovers got a chance to practice their swing and meet some Blue Jays players. All right, Sonia's back with a look at our forecast.
Hi there. Yes. So right now the worst is over, obviously, but we are still seeing that snow squalling around the Sarnia region into London, especially along the 402 and into Niagara Falls. So if you are commuting, that will subside going into Monday morning. So just please be careful. But otherwise, for the most part, it's going to be clear skies for the next few days. Temperatures, though, starting the work week, it is going to be quite cold, -15 in Toronto. But again, very clear. Let me break that down further for you. So we do have the northerly winds coming in, really making an impact, -20 in Barrie going into the morning, but then things start to change. We see that shift in winds from the west, and then we also have those milder temperatures. The wind gusts, they do subside, but then going into our Tuesday, as the winds come from the south, yes, milder temperatures, but the winds do gust up to 31 kilometers per hour, again, going into our evening. So let's take a look at Monday closer. So -7 in Newmarket, -5 in Toronto, and then on Tuesday, slowly building, -2 in Toronto, -3 in Newmarket. Again, those winds starting to shift from the west. And then on Wednesday, from the south, nice and warm. We are above seasonal, and we are also above freezing, 2 degrees in Toronto. Does this stay consistent over the next several days? Absolutely. We're going to be above seasonal and above freezing all the way through to next weekend, which is wonderful news. It's going to be clear skies. Go out and enjoy that. But nothing like we saw over the weekend, that's for sure.
We'll just get through the next couple days and we're there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Sonia.
Thank you.
Well, a sneak peek in Scarborough today of how the community plans to mark the Lunar New Year.
We wanted to, leave the year of the pig and then welcome the year of the rat. And you would be very excited. We're going to have a dragon dance.
A free marketplace and festival will take over Woodside Square from Thursday to Sunday. Organizers are promising singing, a magic show, and lots of Asian delicacies. Chinese New Year is officially marked on Saturday. And that's our show for you tonight. We want to leave you with a performance from Brampton's Newpora School of Dance and Music. The group took part in the Lunar New Year announcement. Have a great night, everyone.